Hi, my name is Gorame, and this is going to be a overview slash brief guide on how to defeat Zek'vir on the question mark difficulty, which gives you the achievement Let Me Solo Him and gives you this mount. In order to be able to even fight Zek'vir on this difficulty, you need to make sure that you've done a tier 10 delve with at least one revive remaining. After you've done that, you can head over here to Zek'vir's lair and you can go ahead and give him a try. Like the name of the achievement suggests, that you need to do this solo. So you can choose to do this as any role, healer, tank, or DPS, though my recommendation would be just use this as DPS. I did this as healer on Preservation Evoker, which I definitely do not recommend. It makes it much harder. There are some tanks that have an easier time, but most tank specs will usually have an easier time just doing it in their DPS spec. And the health that the boss has does change depending on the role you are, but more importantly, the thing that does not change is the ads that you have to kill. If you do not kill the ads in a certain time, you're going to get stunned for 5 seconds, and it's basically going to be game over because there's a lot of things to dodge during this fight. So this boss basically has 2 phases. I'm going to go over the mechanics and kind of how you handle them to give you an idea of the kind of like talents and tools you want to take, because how you handle a lot of these is going to be highly class specific. Like I said, this is supposed to be an overview and not a complete guide because how you handle these might be different depending on your class, but I'll touch on some where I can. So phase 1, your kicks, no matter what your kick CD is always going to be on regenerating carapace. The boss basically scales his kick depending on what CD kick you have, though if you're a healer priest, you're out of luck because you don't have a kick and do not even try this. It's called regenerating carapace. If it goes off, he's going to heal for a bunch of his health and you need to be kicking this all the time. In addition to this, he also has another cast called Enfeebling Spittle. Now about 50% of the time, Bran is going to kick this for you. However, you can't always rely on this. And what it does is it puts a slow on you and it does ticking damage. If you're a healer or tank, it does more damage. And obviously, if you're a healer, you can just dispel it. But if you're a DPS and you don't have a way to dispel it, it's going to be kind of hard to handle. The nice thing about this Enfeebling Spittle, or maybe the not nice thing, is that it's also a slow. So anything like Spirit Walkers, Freedom, all that good kind of stuff that like Vengeful Retreat, all that kind of stuff that removes any like snares and slows is going to be really good for getting rid of this debuff and helping you negate any damage it does. Next big thing you're looking out for is him spawning the ad. He does this roughly every, I want to say 40 seconds. It kind of depends on his spell queuing whenever he spawns these, but what it does is it's going to spawn a cocoon in some place in the room. This used to be based on your location, but now he can spawn it almost anywhere. If it spawns on the stage, it feels really bad. However, the idea is you want to kill this cocoon before it hatches. If it hatches, it's going to spawn this spider, and the first thing this spider is going to do when it comes out is it's going to cast Web Blast. Obviously, you can't use your kick on the Web Blast because you need to be kicking the heal on the boss. If this Web Blast goes off, it does a bunch of damage and it stuns you for 5 seconds. This is usually GG for most classes unless you have some way to get out of stuns really often. So you want to make sure that you're always killing the spider. If you don't have the damage, I would suggest looking into getting damage trinkets. Like for me, in order to do this as a healer, I went into LFR and I got the trinket off the last boss, which is Mandate, just to make sure that I could kill these cocoons every single time. So I have that in phase 1. There's basically just 3 things that you're trying to dodge all the time. The first one is Angler's Web, which will basically like slow you if you're too close when you first gets close to finishing casting it, and it does a bunch of damage if you stand in it, so just make sure that you're not standing in it. And he also has a Claw Frontal. If you are melee and Bran is like tanking Zek'vir, because Bran can't take aggro on the other side of the room, this becomes a big problem for you because it's going to cover most of the room, so make sure you're being careful of that. And the last one is this Sphere Cast. You just get out of it. If you're a warrior, you can also spell Reflect this for a bunch of damage, especially in phase 2, and it's going to make it really easy for you. Phase 2 for this encounter starts at 57%. He's going to run to the middle of the room and he's going to channel the spell Black Blood. During this time, he is immune. Once he's done, he's going to have a few new spells for you to deal with, in addition to still doing the heal, all the same frontals, and of course, you need to be killing the ads before they come out and they stun you and kill you. The first thing he's going to do straight out of this is he's going to do this new spell that spawns all the swirlies on the ground. You basically just need to make sure you dodge these, all these swirlies. You can get clipped by one, are going to one-shot you. That's a big theme of this encounter. The next thing you want to look out for is during Angler's Web, he's going to spawn all these portals. Whenever he spawns all these portals, the web that he normally shoots out at Angler's Web, if you're standing in it too long, it does a bunch of damage. It doesn't quite kill you, but even if it doesn't kill you, it gives you a huge slow, which will get you killed later. Goes between all the portals. So whenever he spawns all the portals and he's doing Angler's Web, you want to make sure that you're not standing between any 2 portals. The last different thing in phase 2 is going to be his Fear Cast is now called Infinite Horror. And when he does this, in addition to making sure you get out of the circle, you need to make sure that dodging the balls that he shoots out. He's going to shoot them out in front, behind, to the left, and right of him, so just in like a cross formation. So you just need to make sure that you're watching out for those. Again, phase 2 is focusing on killing the ads. The name of his heal does change, so make sure that you're looking out for that and you're not missing the cast. Anything you can do with bigwigs to make sure that you're highlighting the heal cast is going to help you out a lot. But other than that, it's basically the same, and it's just a matter of making sure you're killing the ads and you're not dying to all the boss frontals and AoEs and everything else that's going on. Now, as for what you should have Bran doing, that's highly based on your own personal preference. So a lot of DPS find the most success with having Bran healing, as they find they don't really have struggles with bursting down the cocoon or like doing boss damage. They may just have some trouble living. He does melee for quite a bit, and he can crit those melees. I have been crit for like 5.5 million, which is a lot of damage, so you want to be careful. Another nice thing you can do if these melees are deadly for you is like when you first pull the boss, if you kind of go slow on your opener and you let Bran do quite a bit of damage if you have him in the damage roll, you can kind of get him to tank for the most part for the entire fight. Like if you were just like, you let him do a lot of damage in the opener, and then after that you're just mostly focused on doing web cocoons, so you can get him to do a lot of the damage, though he might die depending on how long the fight goes, and it might not work out for you. But for me, that worked really well because I was in a healer role. But again, for most DPS, the best thing for you is usually going to be putting Bran in the healer role, and then what curios you use depends on if you need the healing or if you need the damage. He has a lot of good healing options. I would suggest that you look at, just experiment with them and see which one works best for you. There's not like exactly like a catch-all for what I've seen from different DPS doing. I would just kind of like try them out and try out different ones and see what works best with you. Sometimes the one that with the defensives works better. Sometimes the Idol of the Final Will works better. It's just going to depend. If you're having trouble actually killing the cocoons, then I would suggest that you get the one that shoots the arrow. And then that way you can force Bran to actually help you with killing the cocoons by using that arrow, and it's going to make it a bit more consistent for you. My last little tip is to make sure that when Bran puts down his fire that you're eating that, because that's going to give you a nice little 5% main stat buff. Also, if my video didn't help because it didn't give you like the class, like the thing that your class specifically is struggling with, there are also just videos of everyone or like most classes and specs doing this on YouTube. If you want to look up like a specific POV, that most of those don't have like an explanation or like a voiceover. They're all just like, here's a POV of me killing it. So I thought it'd be good for me to get a video like this because I got a bunch of questions on mine. And that is all. I hope this guide gave you a good idea of what kind of talents and things you should be looking for with doing Zek'vir. And good luck!